Elden Ring Nightreign has a variety of character classes to choose from, one of them being the Recluse, the intricate mage character. She may not appeal to many, as she has a very complex kit and her abilities vary greatly. Whether you simply don't like mage characters or she just seems too complex for you to bother with, I'm here to help. In this video, I'm going to go through all of her spell combinations, how to use them, and some tips and tricks I learned during the network test. I hope you're ready, let's begin. For this video, I will be covering the character skill because it is where the majority of the complexity lies. First, I'll quickly go over how the character skill actually works. There are 4 elements in Elden Ring: magic, fire, lightning, and holy. Using her character skill, you can absorb the last element the enemy has been hit with. Each combination is made up of 3 elements, which you can see at the bottom here. When targeting an enemy or ally, you will see a colored circle around the target reticle. This indicates which element can currently be absorbed. The first and most basic mixture is triple magic, which creates a flurry of blades around the enemy for about 10 seconds. You will always have access to this skill, so learning how to use it in the early game will be absolutely essential. This skill is great for interrupting smaller enemies, like Swordmaster Yoda here. Be careful though, because it does draw enemy aggression. If you defeat an enemy while this is active, it will simply stay on the ground until the duration is over. Okay, now on to the next one. Fire plus magic creates a floating wisp that does damage over time and then a final explosion at the end. This spell has a ton of utility and will be your go-to from early to mid-game. The damage over time will constantly keep putting the fire element on the enemy, so if you're low on FP, you can abuse that to gain more with your passive. The wisp moves pretty fast, so it will chase enemies well, and it's a source of constant DPS. Because of the multi-hit nature of this move, it has a lot of potential to synergize with your ultimate ability, restoring HP and FP. Additionally, when combined with other damage over time moves, you can stack them to create some major damage. It may not look like much, but it is constant sustained DPS. As you can see here, even though my teammates were attacking him, he aggroed to me instead.
No, 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 no! Wait! Wait!
Gotcha, bitch!
The projectile will explode early if it makes contact with terrain. This can be useful in certain situations, especially when used intentionally and in the early game. Although it may be tempting, it's not always the best idea to spam this ability. That's because it draws a lot of aggression, and so enemies can turn on you very quickly. Also, it may be possible that you have increased poise while absorbing elements. I'll test further in the final game. I was not expecting him to lunge at me here. Alright, now on to triple fire. At first, this spell seems a little underwhelming because the explosion does little damage as well as the AoE afterwards, but it does have a lot of situational utility. This combination, just like triple magic, is incredibly easy to get. as well as having the ability to renew itself by spamming absorb afterwards. I found this spell to be best used in tandem with the magic fire combination, as they work really well together. If you pay attention here, I'm able to absorb triple fire off of the magic fire combination because of its constant damage over time. This combination is also one of the best I've found for rescuing teammates. Okay, let's move on. Fire plus lightning is basically Blink Bolt from Shadow of the Erdtree, but with a lightning explosion at the end. It's able to knock down smaller enemies as well as doing a truckload of damage. As you can see, I resisted the first hit. Further testing will need to be done in order to determine if the first hit does fire damage or not. Now onto my personal favorite element, lightning. Triple lightning is pretty simple. It's basically a 20-second bloodhound step, nothing really special here, just cool. I didn't really get to use this one much, unfortunately, but it is very useful. And it looks like lightning is the element you want to go if you're going for a melee mage build. Next, we have one of the coolest abilities I found, and that is Lightning plus Holy. This combination gives you a 15-second auto parry buff. Yes, you heard that right, auto parry. You don't have to do anything. Unfortunately, I didn't get to test whether or not this works on bigger bosses, but I think this will definitely be a go-to when doing solo runs as the Recluse. Lightning plus magic gives you a blue lightsaber and allows you to decimate smaller enemies with a massive slash. It's incredibly strong early on. If you can get the lightning element early on, this will absolutely carry you through most of the game. It does considerable damage. Unfortunately, crystal release still sucks though.
Ooh, he's trying!
The laser sword gives considerable regeneration when combined with your ultimate.
Nice.
It may also have increased poise while holding the stance, but I've yet to test, as well as the poise damage. I think it does the same, if not more damage than a critical hit, but is unfortunately horrible for saving your teammates.
What you're seeing now is my normal state. This is a Super Saiyan.
It's hard to tell whether or not I stunned her or my teammate here. Now onto the final element, Holy. Triple Holy grants you and your team a 30-second poise buff. Unfortunately, I didn't get to test this one at all, but it does seem like it has a ton of utility, especially as a support character. Holy plus Fire creates a massive warming stone with an AoE that increases maximum health and heals people who walk into it. To be clear though, I don't mean a heal over time like a regular warming stone. It's a burst heal that happens when the person walks into it. And from what I could see, it was only a one-time thing. And unfortunately, the stone itself doesn't last very long, but the buff does. Holy plus Magic grants an AoE infinite FP buff to you and your teammates within a wide range. The buff lasts 8 seconds, and I think this may be one of the potentially most overpowered combinations the Recluse has. You need to be careful and calculated when you use it though, because it's incredibly easy to waste.
You bastard.
The range is quite wide. As you can see here, it affects my teammate, but not the other one. Combined with spells like Comet Azure and Meteorite, it can be absolutely devastating even to big bosses, providing you actually land it. As I said before, I think this has the potential to be the most overpowered ability in the Recluse's entire kit. When properly coordinated with teammates, it can be absolutely devastating beyond measure. Again, just be careful not to waste it though. Next, onto what I call the all but spells. All but lightning creates what is essentially an improved Crucible Breath from the base game. It has a very long range, does a lot of multi-hits, and has a lot of potential to synergize with your ultimate. All but Holy creates a massive gravity explosion which interrupts and staggers most enemies. If you can get the elements for this early, it's absolutely destructive to early game bosses as well as whole groups of mobs.
Finish him!
It is riskier to use on bigger bosses with high poise, but I found that it does do a lot of poise damage overall. On some bigger bosses that are easier to interrupt, it will actually stop them in their tracks.
Happy feet. One more combo. That ain't Falco. That ain't Falco.
This combination also has the possibility of being the best synergy with your ultimate.
God damn!
All but Magic creates a massive lightning stake in the ground that stays there and explodes after a set amount of time. If you've ever wanted Placidusax's nuke, well, we've got it now. All but Fire turns the Recluse into a giant ice crystal and causes a massive ice storm around her for about 10 seconds. Invincibility, AoE Frostbite, draws aggro, massive range. That's fine and everything, but what really matters is its... Well, I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you on release day.
Elden Ring.
As a little bit of a teaser for my next upcoming video, I'll put in a clip of my relics that I use for most of the network test, as well as the drops from my final games, in case you're curious and wanted to see some.